COVID-19 pandemic has led to new business trends across sectors over the last 5 months or so. Remote working for employees, an accelerated pace of digital transformation, collaboration using intelligent technologies across geographies, all in a bid to stay agile, to stay innovative, and to stay customer-centric in these unprecedented times that we are in. Hello and welcome to CNBC-TV18.com and AWS present the Boardroom Dialogues, an exclusive virtual roundtable with eminent industry leaders who will decode some of these big emerging trends that I just spoke about, and they will share their valuable experiences, especially in terms of maintaining business continuity during this pandemic. I'm Mridhu Bhandari, and our focus today is on the Indian insurance industry innovating for the future. I'm joined by a very power-packed panel of experts. Let me welcome them. Puneet Chandok, President of India and SAARC Commercial Sales at Amazon Internet Services. Ashish Dhawan, Director and Head Enterprise Business at Amazon Internet Services. Sriraj Deshpande, Chief Operating Officer, Future Generali India Insurance Company. KV Deepu, President, Head Operations, Communities and Customer Service at Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. Atri Chakravarti, COO of India First Life Insurance. Atul Deshpande, COO of SBI General Insurance. Manu Lavanya, COO of Max Life Insurance. Kirti Patil, Executive Vice President and CTO at Kotak Life Insurance. And Deepak Nair, Chief Technology Officer at Tata AIG General Insurance. Welcome everyone. Thanks very much for taking out time and being with us here today on the Boardroom Dialogues. Well, we're all facing unprecedented times, and I want to begin this conversation by perhaps hearing some of your experiences on how you've managed to keep business going. What are the unique challenges that the pandemic has thrown at you, and the role that emerging technologies have played in this time in particular. Sriraj, if I can come to you first, how challenging was it to keep business going, especially in mid-March 2020? That's when the pandemic really got worse in India. It was also the financial year closing. So I can imagine that it wasn't an easy time, sudden lockdowns being imposed across the country. What were the big changes that you had to bring within the organization to ensure business continuity?
Thanks, Mridhu. Actually, we were a bit fast. So we had a BCP committee, and as early as I think 12th of March, we met. We were anticipating something which started happening. The first thing which came in our mind was, if even one COVID person is positive in the head office, what happens? We'll have to close this entire thing down. So the first immediate thing which we did was, like our hubs, major operation hubs in Pune and Mumbai, we immediately shifted people home and shifted. So people who had laptops, which we could provide them laptops, it was fine. The others, we actually shifted their desktops homes and put the hubs into place. And we asked employees to immediately start working from home. We enabled them that, you go in for those who don't have a broadband connection, go in for dongles, etc. And so we ensured that this continuity for the business process was there. And we started spreading this we started monitoring this on day-to-day basis, and where it was spreading and how it was going. Those offices, we started actually, put that into place and saw that most of the people shifted as quickly as possible and ensured that the continuity was maintained. Another part was the call center. Even the call center executives were taking calls which were actually diverted on their mobiles at home. Got a new solution into place, very immediately into place, to ensure that this could be enabled. And then there was the entire business model started changing. People intermediaries who never used to go in the digital way, they had to go into the digital way of actually adopting digital methods of so making that available to them in a very quick way. I think this was a very quick decisions which we were able to take, which enabled us to actually have continuity in our business process.
Right, absolutely. Speed was definitely of essence here. No one saw that pandemic coming that fast within India. Manu, if I can come to you, insurance, of course, is a people-intensive business, both from a customer as well as an employee perspective. What changes then did you have to make within the organization, within your processes, to ensure employee safety while also meeting the customer demand? Because, on some of the insurance fronts, whether it was life or health, there was an increasing demand during the pandemic, wasn't there?
Sure. As you very rightly said, selling insurance traditionally has been a very personal sort of an interaction, right? And the biggest challenge that COVID put for us was the whole issue that we can't meet the buyer in person. And hence it required a complete rethinking and a remodeling of the interaction that happens between a buyer and a seller. So suddenly we found that in a month's time, almost in our entire sales process shifted into a digital enabled telepresence sort of a model where all our agents were actually virtually, quote unquote, making sales to our customers. There was a very unique challenge around fraud control, around how do we get the underwriting rules established the same way as we do when we meet a prospective life assured in person. And that led to a lot of transformation on how we can do underwriting, leveraging videos, leveraging telemedicine, leveraging tools that can be leveraged to technology, where we can still assure that our customers can buy insurance from the safety of their homes, but at the same time, the process is resilient enough for us to drive whatever checks and balances are required to make sure that we have the right process control.
Right, absolutely. And interesting that you mentioned work from home becoming a long-term norm, because that was the next question I was coming to. And Atri, if I can bring you in on this, remote working at scale and accelerated pace of digital transformation, these are the two of the biggest trends that we are seeing during this pandemic. Do you see both of these becoming long-term, and what other shifts from an insurance sector perspective would you add to that?
I think work from home is there to stay. I mean, it's not only in insurance, but I think in the services sector, this is going to be a norm. And this COVID-19 really accelerated the whole process and made us believe that this is possible. And this is a cultural mindset which we have overcome because of COVID-19. I think as a company, we've seamlessly moved into this. And I think the industry as well, we are seeing that companies have been onboarding customers and servicing customers without any issues. So I think to answer your question, this is a trend that will remain. This is going to be there for the long term, not only for insurance, but for various other industries as well.
Right. Okay. And Puneet, coming to you, you've heard some of the industry perspectives. As a cloud technology provider, what has your experience been in terms of servicing your clients in the last 5 odd months, both in insurance as well as the larger financial services industry? Give us a sense of the top trends that you've been observing.
Ritu, let me start by saying, while the context around us in the past few months is unprecedented and none of us have pattern recognition on it, but from a tech vantage point, we're seeing new approaches and new ideas and new pathways emerge every day. Right? And that to me has been the real learning from this crisis, that this can be a real catalyst for change. And we're now seeing change at a scale and clip that we've never seen before. Right? This is both in terms of consumer preferences and also how businesses are responding to this. And technology and cloud are a big part of that. And this is what we at AWS do. But let me just emphasize 3 trends that we're picking up. And some of this was discussed earlier as well. I think the first one is business resilience today has a completely new meaning, right? And all the circuit breakers that we had around BCP and DR, they've tripped, right? It's truly a reset, and you now have to react very quickly to enable business continuity. And both Sriraj and Atri spoke about that. And a lot of our customers, including insurers, are now looking at work from home, workspaces, VDIs, but solutions to make their workforce both productive and effective at home. Right? Who could have imagined underwriting and call centers being operationalized from home? But that's really happening now, right? So that's one. The other trend that I'm picking up is what I call technology, digital, and cloud are no longer optional. Right? It's now become a question of survival, and this is driven by a realization that businesses that had or were building architectures in a modern way were able to react to these external events in a much better way than others, right? And these are the businesses that will come out much stronger as we come out of this crisis, right? And cloud gives you the agility and the elasticity to spin up services and spin them down and only provision for what you use and only pay for what your business really requires. And businesses that were thinking deeply about cloud and technology are being able to manage this much better. And then the third trend that I want to just emphasize is this piece around some businesses are now using this as an opportunity to step back and think about real innovation, right? And we're seeing, and this is the most encouraging part of this, right? And we're seeing a number of new digital use cases come up, co-browsing for sales. I'm seeing customer journeys being reimagined, right? Where customer today starts a journey in a physical mode, switches to a digital mode, and vice versa, right? And this is really relevant for some of our cities which go into lockdown modes and then unlock, right? And we're seeing AI ML, we're seeing analytics being used in different ways. And Manu spoke about some of this. We have HDFC Life and Tata Capital who are now looking at voice through Alexa to actually serve customers and help their employees. So there's a lot of innovation coming out of this as well.
Right, absolutely. Interesting you mentioned those. I was going to ask you for some specific user scenarios that you could share where AWS has enabled insurers for the future, especially as many legacy players right now are looking at retiring technical debt, aren't they?
No, in fact, so I mentioned HDFC Life and Tata Capital who are both thinking about innovation and voice differently. There are many customers today who are going back to my second theme around technology and cloud is no longer optional. They're now thinking deeply about how do they really migrate to the cloud and reduce the technical debt that typically slows you down in a scenario like this, right? And you want to have a technology infrastructure that can go up and down based on your business usage, not just because you spend money and capex on that, right? So we're seeing a lot of innovation there. We're seeing a lot of innovation in our underwriting, right? And we're now seeing some of our insurance customers who think about underwriting in a very different way, where they're using new sources of data. For example, social connections of some of their people, making policies frictionless and looking at automating as much as they can on the claims process, right? Because customers really can't walk into a branch or have physical interaction. So it's innovation across the board, underwriting, claims, thinking about technical debt, thinking about overall architecture. And we're seeing this across the board.
Great, great. Good to hear that. Indeed, like you said, cloud has been a game-changing technology for most businesses. Let me also bring in Atul. Atul, were you able to launch new products or new features easily during this time? What was the big challenge? And I imagine that you would be looking at newer offerings to compensate for the overall drop in business that you've been seeing. What are the key drivers for your new offerings, and give us a sense of the role that technology at large or cloud in particular have played for you?
Hi, Mridu, and hello to all the panelists. Yes, I think many of my co-panelists earlier have mentioned that technology today has played a very important role in all the aspects of our lives, and adapting to technology has become much more easier these days. You asked a specific question about what are the product offerings or what were the things that we managed on the product front, and whether this will be the technology will be the growth drivers for us. Certainly, as I would see that in the just for early 1 or 2 days of the month of March, where there were hiccups in adapting to people working from home, doing their hardware, arranging for the connectivities, the broadband and stuff. I think by 27th March, the company was fully functional as it would have been in a normal office environment. We did not see any impact on any of our work or any of the priorities that we had set for ourselves. In fact, so much so that the entire business plans that we have done for the year and all the initiatives that we have decided and we have planned for the fiscal, all of them are getting delivered and tracked as a normal activity. We did find a great interest in pure play COVID related products from the market. In fact, you may be aware that the regulator had also come up with a couple of products which were standard products across the industry, and there was a need for launching these products in the quick time so that the benefits of such innovative products are actually accessible to the insuring public. We were very happy to have this launch in a very seamless manner and make them available onto our portals, our intermediary portals, and the manner in which we could distribute this product across the network of the bank branches that we service. I would say that as normal, we have been able to ensure that these things happen. Technology does and will certainly play a very important role as times progress. Faceless sale or touchless transaction is something that's going to come and stay here for long now.
Right. Okay. Good to hear, especially about the COVID-related products that you launched. Manu, what about Max Life? How prepared were you for new innovations and offerings in these times? And what's the response that you've received from targeted customers?
So, great. Let me answer the question from two perspectives. One, see, the overall propensity towards protection, I think, has gone a significant mindset change because of COVID. And one of the secular trends that we have seen, which is also evident through our IPQ survey, is that the overall need for feeling protected has gone up significantly as an impact of COVID, which then also makes it mandatory for organizations to think about, one, how do you create velocity in new product designs, especially that can leverage new riders like COVID, for example. So there's a lot of work happening at Max Life around product innovation, specifically around COVID. There is work happening around launching of new products, both in non-par and protection segments. There is significant effort happening around looking at how do we increase the velocity of the back-end operations to meet that higher level of protection. So there are some very secular changes happening purely to address that shift in mindset on the need to feel protected by an average Indian consumer. That's one part of one dimension of the response. The second dimension of the response is it is actually leading a way for us to build more and more conjoined and more bundled products, right? If you look at the whole COVID Suraksha, so sort of an offering that the government, the idea has come across with, how do we actually bundle some of those with some of new innovations in product offerings? So that's another step of innovation that is happening. How do we take wellness as a theme and integrate wellness along with some of our product offerings, right? So those are some of the key innovations that I believe are happening that Max Life is focusing on for us to make sure that we can fully drive that innovation, drive that outcome of the heightened sense of need for wellness, need for protection that an average consumer is feeling during the COVID times.
Right, right. And all of this is, of course, made possible by harnessing emerging technologies, which all of you are doing. Deepu, you moved your insurance administration system to a public cloud. The first instance by an Indian insurer, moving to public cloud for core operations, for managing core operations. What has the impact of that been on business efficiency, on scalability so far? And how has it impacted customer service in particular?
So, Mridu, when we move to the cloud, one big benefit is, in terms of data. Earlier, we had siloed data marts, and now we have a data lake in place, that helps us, do a lot more with customers leveraging data. The other is, from a customer service perspective, we were able to ramp up our digital assets immediately. We have an AI-driven bot. We leverage WhatsApp, and we have our own mobile app. And our mobile app has seen, almost 1 million downloads, which is quite a record for the GI industry. And during the pandemic, apart from 80% of our servicing happening through digital assets, we also saw a whopping 90% dip in our customer complaints. And what we also did, Mridu, was we went over and above meeting customer stated needs. We also met customers' latent needs. For example, we came out with the COVID-19 self-assessment tool on our app. We came out with the doctor on chat feature on our app. We also came out with a contact tracing feature called Social Trackback prior to Arogya Setu. So I think by giving customers access to tools by which we could meet their latent unexpressed needs, we were able to significantly stay ahead of our competitors. And I think this has resulted in a huge positive feedback from our customers during the pandemic. Independent Net Promoter Scores show that we enjoy the highest scores in the marketplace.
Wonderful. Good to hear that. And I'm going to dive deeper into customer service in just a bit. But let me first touch upon the cost bit, because every piece of digital transformation, every piece of advanced technology comes at a price. So, Kirti, remote working of employees, agents, brokers, enhancing digital experiences for the customer, automating large sections of the business, all have led to an increase in technology investments, costs at this point in time. As tech leaders, then, how do you attain a balance in, sort of increasing technology investments in times like these, which actually cause for reduced costs and call for improved margins to stay profitable?
Thank you, Mridu, for this question. I was actually going to touch upon the cost anyway. So when we were looking at what are the larger goals for the organization, along with so many things that all the co-panelists have mentioned, we also said we need to look at sustainable and enduring cost advantages for the firm. Okay, so when we look at cost, we are not looking at cost in isolation for a function, but cost in the perspective of the organization. So we will continue to invest in those areas which are going to give us a long-term benefit, are going to give us immediate value. So we will continue to invest in areas in the technology spaces, which are really going to help us leverage the new normal to our advantage. Okay, so we are seeing a shift in the investment patterns. Okay, on the contrary, I am seeing the approval cycles are faster. Okay, the use case acceptance is much faster. The business buy-in is faster. So the technology investments are actually moving in the right direction. That is what I would like to say about the cost. But other thing that I want to touch upon here, Mridu, is the way business is looking at the technology cost is different. Earlier, perhaps in certain pockets of the firm, technology would have been looked at as a cost center, but it is not anymore. Okay, everybody has understood that this is what is going to take us through the new normal and make us a future ready organization. So earlier, I mean, technology was always at the heart, digital was an imperative, but now it is demanded by functions. Okay, so they are willing to forego of certain costs that they would incur normally in the traditional way of working, but are willing to spend on technology. I'll give some examples. We did invest in a digital learning platform, and I think this is one area that we should also talk about, which is skilling and hand-holding of our agents and employees during this pandemic situation, which was absolutely essential. And we were able to do that because we had that platform. Earlier, there was a challenge to bring people onto the platform, but now they have taken to it like fish to water. And therefore, all I say about cost is if there is a good use case, there is a value that is going to get unlocked, we will get investment.
Right. Okay. So, Deepak, can I ask you to weigh in on that as well? At Tata AIG, what are the key drivers for your tech investments for the future in particular? Is there significant reallocation of technology funds happening? And what is the expected long-term ROI out of any technology investment that you make, both in tangible and in intangible terms?
So let me start by saying that, while the whole situation is very unfortunate, but it is a boon actually for the technology guys. Number one, the perception about technology has changed completely. The value and the appreciation for technology has really gone up. The adoption across the board, and this I'm talking on behalf of all my colleagues in the industry and various other industries, the kind of adoption that has happened on various systems and the uptake is phenomenal. What that leads, like Kirti mentioned, saying that you're getting the right investments done. In fact, in Tata AIG, we have kept special budget for this, during this period to fast track some of the investments that we would have done for, let's say, 1 or 2 years. So that's the projects have come upfront and they're getting executed in parallel. And there's a big steam which is given. One other thing that I'm noticing within the organization and also when I talk to my peers is that the time available by business teams, from business teams to technology has also gone up. What that translates is faster execution, which we are seeing now. The kind of speed we have not seen before in the business as usual that we were running before. Right? So overall, I can say that the entire pandemic situation coming in and everybody latching onto the digital assets which are there, companies reacting fast, new products coming up. Just to give an example, like motor, right? People are not driving in today outside. They are sitting at home and working from home. Their cars are sitting. So usage-based insurance in motor, for example, is the product that we launched, and we are taking seeing a good uptake and real value for the customer in products like that.
Right, absolutely. So, apart from, of course, businesses and technology leaders taking to technology like fish to water, consumers have been no different. Successive lockdowns have led us to much greater digital activity than ever before, whether it's payments, whether it's shopping, whether it's education, entertainment, or insurance for that matter. We are doing all of these things online. Atri, if I can come to you from a customer service perspective, digital is the primary channel today. Do you expect it to stay that way in the future? Because once we get the hang of these habits, we aren't really going to go back from these. What is the shift of balance that you expect between physical and digital channels of communication? And how are you planning to make this whole digital experience, as we call it now, seamless and consistent across channels?
Whole digital transformation journey started long time back, Vidhu. So it's not that we are starting it from with the advent of COVID. As I said, with advent of COVID, things have accelerated. So I think self-service digital channel will be a focus area for all insurance companies as well as other services organizations as well. In India, first, we've seen a very quick uptake of digital payments. We've seen a very high usage of IVR. We've seen very high usage of the website. We, in fact, started a campaign called Ghar Baite Insurance, and we were able to issue term policies online during these times. So to answer your question, I think the whole process of moving to digital channels and to self-service channels, that has got accelerated with the advent of COVID-19. And in the journey, I think most companies are now at a stage where they are 70 to 80% digital, whereas remaining 10 to 20% could be physical. In certain sub-processes, I mean, on a customer onboarding sub-process, say today we are 100% is digital, whereas maybe for our renewals or for claims where we get certain documents, physical documents, we would have reached about 70 to 80%. So I think all these processes will move and evolve to a digital scenario, but that's what COVID has done. It has accelerated the whole process.
Right. Okay. And Deepu, if I can ask you as well, a lot of the older customers, senior citizens, are not very tech savvy. They're not very comfortable with particularly doing financial transactions on the web right now. A lot of them are wary of cyber fraud. How do you then reach out to that class of customers? And what about the customers at the last mile, those without smartphone access?
So, Bridu, three things here. One is, the usage of voice. Because when you use voice, it negates the, digital disadvantage which some people have, because of the usage of English. So that's one. Mm-hmm. Second is, to go multilingual. The whole problem is, that when it comes to digital, the default language tends to be English, right? For example, we came out with an app for crop insurance customers, right, which is farmers, solely, in Indian languages. It had a rating of 4.6 on the Play Store at one point in time, and also won as a global award. The third thing is, as we are seeing, people, migrate to digital modes, during the pandemic. I told you about, the three features earlier, whereby, we met customers' unstated needs. At that time, we saw that, everybody had not migrated to this, irrespective of, their age and irrespective of, their demographics. So I think if you look at these three aspects, meeting latent needs, going multilingual and leveraging voice, we'll be able to take it forward. And on the last mile point, Prithu, what is very important is to come out with light versions. So for example, if we have an app, which works, with full connectivity in the urban areas, we also have a light version, which can work in the rural areas. So that way, we've been able to, take care of customers who do not have the advantage of good bandwidth.
Right. Right. Okay. And Sriraj, as we continue to cope with the virus, a lot of people will still continue to remain indoors. In that sense, do you expect a greater emphasis on direct channels at this point in time?
See, direct channels, yes, there is an increase. There is an increase in the direct channels. The hits which are coming on the websites or directly people approaching the. However, in this, I still feel that I think the situation will be how do you actually enable your intermediaries also to be totally digital. So in general insurance, if you see, a lot of business comes through the intermediaries, and in various forms, various different lines of business it comes. So how do you actually make your intermediaries, adopt to this? And that's right from conducting training. That's how we have been doing, actually, conducting trainings for our agents, or even enrolling agents during this time has been a big problem, but we have been actually doing that. We have been, I think, a large number of agents have been enrolled during this period. Then second is, if you look at various other parts, I just wanted to touch on the claims part, etc. We had already introduced apps like, for claims assessment, where IMOS or IWAYS, where motor claims could be assessed. You could send the link to that individual, and he could actually go around, and somebody just tells him that move around this way, that way, and you record it and send it back. The usage of that was not there, but now you have seen that the usage of such apps has increased. So people have started moving, even during recent flood claims. If somebody's garage got flooded and his vehicle was submerged, so the problem was again there. So now people have started utilizing all these means, and they have started adopting it directly, all the direct customers also.
Right, right. Okay. All right. So I also want to touch upon one of the facets of technology, increased use of technology, is that it increases risks. It opens doors to newer risks. We've seen a surge in cyber attacks of over about 50% globally since the onset of the pandemic. And all of these are unique attacks. They keep getting more and more sophisticated. There are no prior benchmarks that can be followed. So in that sense, the chief risk officers of organizations are perhaps having the most challenging times of their lives. Kirti, if I can ask you, has the pandemic pushed you to somewhat re-evaluate your cyber risk management frameworks? What are you learning?
So, Mridu, just like this crisis has actually brought the focus on digital adoption or acceleration, it has also brought the focus on cyber security, which is the positive aspect of the crisis, I would say. Fortunately for us, one, because we are a regulated industry, a regulated entity. Two, the organization also looks at risks in a different way. Three, we carry a lot of customer sensitive PII, be it financial or medical. The focus on risk was always there. So whatever technology solutions that we build are already, the security is already built into it. So fortunately for us, even when we started remote working, we were very, very firm that we are not going to bypass any of our set processes or standards. Okay, if employees are bringing their own device, then we would ensure that only a virtual desktop is given, which is completely secure. VPN would be provided only with a two-factor authentication. So even during the crisis, where there was focus on speed, we did not compromise on one thing, and that was security. That really helped us. But what we needed to do is actually to bring about awareness, because the employees were till then, still working in a very secure intranet environment. They were moving out. So we actually sent in a lot of advisories to our employees. And while SASE was and is very important always, which is secure access, secure edge, what we realize is that the edge has changed. Okay, everybody is outside the edge. And therefore we had to take some precautions, additional precautions, because all the people were working from their homes. For example, there is a lot of data that is on the individual laptops, especially of senior executives. If they are not connecting and the data is not backed up, and God forbid if there is a malware attack or a ransomware attack, and that data is lost, then what do we do? Because in the data center, everything remains protected. So we started looking at the end user devices differently. We built specific use cases through which we started extra vigilance and extra monitoring of the environment. So yes, if security is built in, then it would help. If it is not, then it is really going to be a worry. But I'm still looking at it very positively, that the focus and investments on security are also continuing, right, along with the investments in technology.
Right, absolutely. In my conversations with leaders, across the board over the last couple of months, I think I can tell you that security is no longer just an IT imperative. It is very much a boardroom imperative.
Yes, yes.
Significant investments happening on that front. Good to hear your experiences. Ashish, let me come to you. Thank you for patiently hearing everyone out, and give us a sense now of, how at AWS are you helping insurers drive a more holistic digital transformation as as against converting individual components of the value chain.
Thank you so much, Mridhu. Appreciate that. And it was a fascinating discussion. Fascinating to hear our customers talk about adopting technology in these times. So look, we believe that every application in every industry will benefit from AI/ML in the fullness of time. But in insurance, there are three big trends that are getting driven by AI/ML. The first is what we call as behavioral policy pricing. This means that there are ubiquitous IoT sensors that will provide personalized data to pricing platforms, allowing, for example, safer drivers to pay less for auto insurance. This is also known as usage-based insurance. And people with healthier lifestyles to pay less for health insurance. The second trend is what we call as customer experience and coverage personalization. Here we believe that artificial intelligence will enable a seamless automated buying experience using chatbots that can pull on customers' geographic, social, and other data for personalized interactions. This can lead to the right products being positioned and even reduction in sales cycles for our insurance customers. The third trend is what we call as faster customized claim settlement, where we believe that online interfaces and virtual claims adjusters will make it more efficient to settle and pay claims following an accident, or while simultaneously decreasing the likelihood of fraud. Customers will also be able to select whose premiums will be used to pay the claims. This is known as peer-to-peer insurance. We also see AI/ML, IoT, and digital technology used in pricing for real-time dynamic behavioral models, underwriting for speeding up data collection and risk assessment, claims handling, policyholder interactions through voice and text and chatbots, and most importantly, fraud management to help detect, predict, and prevent fraud patterns and attacks, with enhanced forensic capabilities also to interrogate and analyze data. Now, we believe that these trends are not only hugely transformational now in these times, but are here to stay and are only going to grow.
All right. Well, experiment, definitely. You never know what the future is going to bring. If nothing, this is the big lesson that the pandemic has taught all of us, to not take anything for granted. Change is definitely a constant. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, Kirti, for joining us here today, sharing your valuable insights and experiences of how the insurance sector is really coping well with the pandemic, harnessing emerging technologies, and staying ahead and trying to innovate for the future. Thanks very much for taking out precious time and being with us here today. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe. Goodbye.